Hello YouTube. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be my first video or the introduction video first, but I thought it's a great time to quickly sit down and just talk about the Nintendo NX and or should I say Switch? Why is it that the prototype names for Nintendo sounds better than the actual Nintendo devices? I mean, prototypes, you had the Nintendo Dolphin, you had the Nintendo Revolution, and it sounds better. And then they go and marketing department goes, yeah, we want people to relate to the name. It shouldn't sound futuristic. People know how switches work, so we'll call it a Nintendo Switch. And everyone else goes, Switch? Really? I like NX. But anyway, because NX sounds like next, which kind of, I think that was another Nintendo device. But anyway, I digress. I was following the NX for quite some time because the idea kind of fit well, it suited me. I liked the thing that they were saying that it's both portable and stationary, because there's a few ways you can do this, and some of them are more interesting than others. The whole system, as soon as I said it's going to be cartridge based, well, the leaks said it's going to be cartridge based, you could have assumed that it's going to be focusing on portability, because you are taking a cheaper medium, which is Blu-ray, and then converting into cartridges, which are smaller, so at the expense of, you don't have to have, well, at the expense of quality for games versus portability for if you have a cartridge, because cartridges are smaller, they don't need as much power as Blu-rays, and you can take a whole bunch of games with you when you go somewhere. So you know already that if it's cartridges, you're most likely not going to see a hard drive in the machine, for instance. So all of that you can like go through the system and think about what they're going to do. But some other things that I noticed early on about the system that people were saying is that screen-to-screen curved screens, I knew that wasn't going to happen this generation. It just costs too much for someone to actually do that. And the technology, while in its infancy, okay, just isn't up to creating the numbers that Nintendo will need for game consoles. Early on they said that it's going to be a thing where you take the controllers off. Well, Leak said it's going to be a thing where you take the controllers off, which is cool. I really just thought it's going to be a thing with a hinge at the side that just extends. But what I noticed with the trailer, and which really impressed me, is the fact that you can remove each controller separately and then play one part of the controller as its own controller, which changes the game. Because here's the thing, if you're doing portables and you're doing a Nintendo DS portable, it's a single player device. Fine, granted, you can do multiplayer on it, but everyone needs a Nintendo DS, or anyone needs a 3DS. And in order for it to link up with users Wi-Fi, everyone needs to buy it, everyone needs to get that investment early on, put their money in, get the hardware. And not everyone does it, because it's not everyone knows what it is, not everyone wants it. Now what they've done is, you take one device and two people can play it. So if you show this to your friend and they like it, they're going to buy the same one. So your sales increases. It's a brilliant marketing thing. Even though it sounds like you're actually losing console sales, you're not, because you're getting people invested by seeing it. So everyone instantly becomes an advert for the device by doing it that way. And let's face it, Nintendo's strong points has always been multiplayer. I mean, since the N64 days with a built-in multi-tap, that's what got the games going. You know what? Why do you think Smash Brothers and Mario Kart are so successful? They're not amazing super games. The fact that you can do the multiplayer in the living room without buying extra hardware, just a controller, that's what made them. And Nintendo this time took a step back and they thought most likely what's their strong points. And at the moment, their normal console sales, that's not their strong point. The Wii U isn't doing great. Sure, I'm going to have the fanboys in there saying it's the best selling console. It's not. It's just not doing them great. It's not making money for them. So what they've done is they took their two revenue streams and combined it into one system. So they've only got one major revenue stream at the moment, which is ingenious. That means that they can focus all of their time, all of their development costs into one thing, instead of developing two different games, because that's what they had to do with Smash Brothers. That's what they had to do with Mario Kart and that's developed two completely different games because the hardware was so different that you couldn't really port this one to that one. So now they just create one game and it's done. It's an ingenious thing of doing it, a way of doing it. Now, all of that sort of thing, all of the hype, it's all good and great. And I'll be honest, the first 5 minutes of this video I was on the hype train, as you heard. Then I got to thinking. It's not offloading the graphical fidelity to a separate device. It can't. It's using a NVIDIA Tegra, that's what the leak says, and I'm very confident because where that leak came from was very accurate that it's a NVIDIA Tegra. That doesn't have a Tegra doesn't have PCI Express output, so you can't add a separate graphics card. The device that they showed is a bit bigger, but I don't think it has a secondary processor. It doesn't make much sense for it to do, unless they want to run up costs, and it's going to be silly expensive. The Tegra, while a fantastic and great processor, don't get me wrong, it is fantastic for mobile, it looks great on a 10-inch screen. It doesn't scale very well on big screen, and you can just look at any of the actual NVIDIA Shields, the NVIDIA game tablet, see how it streams online. You'll notice it's not as good. Graphical fidelity on the system, I don't think is going to be any better than what the Wii U is, and I'll put money to it. It's not going to be any better than the Wii U. Unless they do a stupid thing, which is two completely different processors on there. Once again, an ARM processor and an Intel processor, or a PowerPC processor, and then you have to code the game twice to make it compatible on one system. That doesn't make sense to me, and I doubt they would have gone that route. So graphics is their Achilles heel. The second Achilles heel in the system is what they had to give up. Because it's using cartridges. I know a lot of you are going to start screaming at me, you get 32GB cartridges, 64GB cartridges. Sure. They're expensive. They cost way too much money to mass produce. So most of the game companies will have a price list like what they had in the cartridge days, which they still have today with the 3DS, and they'll go, okay, 8MB cartridge will cost us $2. I'm making up figures. If we take this to a 16, it's going to cost us $5. If we take this up to a 32, it gets expensive soon, like $10, $12. It might not sound much, but if it was on a Blu-ray, it's $2. So costs to develop for the system is going to be more expensive the bigger the cartridge is going to be. That means that you most likely will not see the AAAs on the system. You won't see the Dooms. You won't see the Call of Duties. You won't see the Battlefields. The reason for this being is that their games at the moment are 30 gigs in size. They need to downscale this to work on an NVIDIA Tegra, which is already a huge undertaking. Then they have to now downscale the game content to fit on a flash drive or a cartridge. Okay, and they need to get it small enough to actually fit on there. But at the same time, the quality needs to be as good as the other consoles, else people are going to complain. And which the people did complain, if you remember the Wii days, when the games got ported over from Xbox 360 to the Wii, there was complaints. People didn't like a lot of what happened because it had to get downscaled. Just look at, what's that zombie game? Anyway, there was the zombie game that took place in a mall, and the Wii version had like 1 or 2 zombies, the Xbox One had like hundreds in the mall. And that's a good example, and people complained about that, and this is going to be no different. So I really don't think that they're going to get the AAAs on there. Sure, they released a list of all of the companies that's going to develop for it. So what we will find is what most of these companies are doing with the DS, and they will create 2 different games. They'll create a AAA, and then they'll create a AAA themed game like what you would have had on the DS. The DS had Call of Duty, but it wasn't the same as the Call of Duty that you had on the consoles at the time. So you'll have 2 different games, which, granted, it's not a bad thing, but that's going to cost them sales. Because today's teens, the only thing they want to do is they want their Call of Duty down to Battlefield. They want all of those AAAs. They don't care as much as all of us about the Nintendo exclusive stuff. Sure, if you go below the teens, that they care again. People getting kids at the moment will get them the system so they can experience and relive Mario like what we used to. So I think all of this you need to take into consideration of the console. And also the price. Nintendo, for launching consoles, they're not cheap. They expect to make a profit on day one. So this console isn't going to be cheap. Sorry people. I doubt it's going to be a 2,000 Rand, $150, $200 console. Or 3,000 Rand console even. I think it's going to be the same price as an entry-level Xbox One. I think it's going to be more or less that sort of price. So, what would I have done different in this? And okay, now let's first talk about what they need to do if they want to make this work. They can't target the teens, so target the nostalgia players, target the people with kids. The gamers that were gaming in the 80s, that's married, that's got their first kids, they're 6 to 12 years old at the moment. Target them. Okay, make sure you launch titles as a good Mario, new Mario, not the same new Super Mario Bros. Remix, whatever. Okay, make sure it's a new one. Okay, not based on Galaxy, anything else. It has to be brand new, so people can experience a new genre of Mario, so they can then attach to that, and they can get it and go with it. It needs a Mario Kart. Mario Kart is the thing that sells consoles for Nintendo. That is Smash Bros. But in my opinion, Mario Kart has a wider audience, so they need to release a Mario Kart on day one. Then Pokemon as well, because people on 3DS and that have gotten used to it, and it would be nice to have a full-blown Pokemon on a console that you can play on a big screen. Instead of always the portable Pokemons that you used to have the same sort of content, but on a big screen, 3D engine, make it look nice. If they did that as a launch lineup, I think they would succeed. Then what they need to do is they need to target the third parties to make unique content for it. And I don't mean all of the shovelware that the third parties have been doing on the Wii and the Wii U. That's not going to work. It's going to destroy the system. You need to get them to make not AAA but also A+ games that's unique enough and not on any other system, or at least timed exclusives for about a year. Okay, you need at least like 4 of those from different companies. Squaresoft definitely needs to do one. EA needs to do one. And I think Ubisoft, but Ubisoft has a bad taste in its mouth, Zombie U. But if they can do that, good launch lineup, it'll work great. Their strategy of getting it into hands and allowing multiplayer at any time, that's going to give them console sales. Hardware sales, I don't think they have to worry about if the software is on par. That's what they need to succeed. And that brings me now to what I would have done different with this system. Okay, I'm going to take it at face value. I'm going to say it's an NVIDIA Tegra. I'm fairly confident at the moment it is. And it's a nice processor. It gives you good graphical fidelity on the mobile. But I would have done the following. Instead of a NVIDIA Tegra, and they might have done this, I'm not sure, I would have switched over to an Intel Atom. It's an x86 and x64 processor, so all the devs know how to code that. All the devs know how to optimize for it. None of them have any excuses to release subpar content. They can't say we're learning how the system works. They know how to use it. So you use the Intel Atom processor as the mobile part of it. The Intel Atom processor has a PCI Express one-time port built into the processor that they can use. So you take that PCI Express one-time port and you add that as an external at the bottom to a good graphics card at the other side. So when you dock it into your TV, you push it in. Okay, it then takes the graphics from your base station and it hooks up, and then you use that for streaming onto a 1080p screen. Sure, it'll push the price up. Okay, sure, you're not getting as fast CPU, and on the mobile side, it's not as good as the Tegra. Its graphics isn't as good, but it's good enough. And seeing as actual programmers know how to utilize it, they can squeeze more power out of it. They can make it look fantastic. Okay, so that's what I would have done there on the hardware side, and if you did that, you would have had something very nice system, a very unique system, very easy to program system, a thing that's very easy for the third parties to jump on and to use. The other thing, of course, is, and I already mentioned it, is good launch lineup. They're talking about 5 games. It's good enough. Now, here's the thing that I know for a fact they won't do. Have an ambassador program, but instead of like the old ambassador program, take it that all of your Wii U shop console games that you bought, especially the emulated ones, you can only do the, well, technically they'll only be able to do the emulated ones in the time being. Have it carry over. Give the people a reason to get this machine and use it daily. Give them a big place to get games from. Have it play all of the emulator systems. It's powerful enough. It has, if it's an NVIDIA Tegra, you can run all of the emulators on it. You don't have to worry, even N64. So port the emulators over and make all of the emulators transferable between the Wii U and the new system. And for people that own both, let them use their old library on it. You know, give them a huge base of games to start with when they start. The other thing is, and Nintendo isn't as open to this, but I would have had a much better indie development section, make it easy for people to get into anything into its own development platform. That you can take any console and develop for it, then submit the code to Nintendo to get authorized. Sure, it opens the door for piracy, potentially, but to be honest and to be fair, every game console gets pirated. Nintendo is no different. Wii U is fully open, 3DS is fully open. Do that. Give the indie developers the console platform they dreamed of. Allow the Humble Store to work as well. So if you do all of that, you'll have a fantastic system. Now, I know the last part, those things are wishful thinking. Nintendo will never, ever do it. So, that's what I would have done differently. This begs the question now, and this is the final thing, is will I get it? I don't have an Xbox One. I don't have a PS4. I can't afford them. They're out of my league. It's gotten to the point where they're so expensive, I just don't see the point. I'd rather spend 8,000 Rand and get myself a nice GeForce, what are they at now, a 1070. Stick that in my PC. That'll take me where I need to be. I'll be happy. I don't see the point in console gaming anymore. It doesn't excite me. Nintendo's one excites me a little, like that much. If they can do it properly. If they can pull through. And pulling through, let's face it, Nintendo, with the Wii U, you guys didn't. That machine wasn't used to its fullest capability. You made some dumb choices. Some really dumb choices. And it's getting better. But I'm going to have to see what you're selling that machine for and what your launch lineup is before I even say that I will even look at it. So, that's my thoughts. Leave your thoughts down in the doobly-doo, comments. I'll reply if I can. But the whole thing looks interesting, intriguing, maybe. But for me, yeah, they can do better. And they need to do better on the launch. We'll see. Thank you. It's all from me, HP Zeta. Until next time. Goodbye.